Welcome to this Jefferson City News Tribune City Council Forum for candidates seeking the Ward 4 position in the April 6th election. I'm Gary Castor, Managing Editor of the News Tribune, and will serve as moderator of the forum. The forum is being conducted in a virtual format due to the pandemic. Prior to the forum, the candidates were given copies of the ground rules of the forum, which noted lengths of time given for opening and closing statements, as well as time allotments for responses to our questions. The questions were submitted by readers or by staff members of the News Tribune. The questions were not shared with any candidate before the forum. The Ward 4 race features three candidates: Derrick Spicer, Leonard Steinman, and Ryan Estes. So let me tell you a little bit about the candidates. Derrick Spicer is seeking his first term on the council. He currently works for PMI Hotels as sales director for Fairfield Inn and Suites. He's involved with Rotary Club Athletic Events Committee, Boys and Girls Club of Jefferson City, and building community bridges. Ryan Estes is running for his third time on the council. He's running for his first time on the council. He works for IBM as a security delivery specialist. He also volunteers with the Central Missouri Humane Society and Central Missouri Foster and Adoption Agency, and serves on the board of the Missouri Republican Liberty Caucus. The third candidate, Leonard Steinman, is seeking his first term on the council. He has previously run for city council and mayor, among other state and national offices. Steinman, who is a veteran, has owned several types of businesses over the years, including agricultural and trucking businesses. Steinman declined our invitation to participate in the forum. So, as we prepare to get started, I will note that the candidates will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. As the forum progresses, each candidate will alternate answering the question first, and will have 2 minutes to respond to the question. At the conclusion of the forum, they will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. So let's begin. So with that, Derrick, you're first on the ballot, so you will give your opening statement first.
My name is Derrick Spicer. I'm a candidate for Ward 4. I'm a longtime resident of the city of Jefferson. Went to grade school here, went to high school here, graduated from JC, Jeff City in 1991. Married for 27 years. I have 2 kids, Brittany and Dylan. 27 and 20. I work for PMI, like you said before, PMI Hotels, and I'm involved in a bunch of other volunteer groups that I do. I'm a member of the Rotary Club, Boys and Girls Club. I do things for, and other organizations around the city. Thank you.
All right. Ryan.
Thank you. My name is Ryan Estes. I'm a longtime resident of Jefferson City, and as the monitor said, I'm taking my first term on the council. I'm running because I want to contribute good. My campaign is basically about 3 things that are important to me. The first is limited government. I think government exists to ensure a level playing field and protect the rights of its citizens, and very little else, aside from like municipal services like police, fire, and public health. Second is I want to advocate for community involvement, because I think we all have something to contribute to make our community a better place. The third is I am an advocate for the disadvantaged and at-risk youth of our community. As Gary mentioned, I'm a volunteer for the Central Missouri Foster Care and Adoption Agency, and I am a foster parent with the state of Missouri. I have one daughter who's 7, and I have a foster daughter who is also 7. And in that capacity, I've gotten a lot of exposure to the need that we have both in our community and in reality everywhere in caring for children in foster care and providing resources for those children. And I think we can all do more, and that's what I want to advocate for.
Okay. All right, so let's begin with our questions. We'll start first with Ryan. What brought you to the decision to run, and what do you hope to accomplish if you are elected?
So the decision to run was partly my experience in politics. I've worked on campaigns for county and federal office, And working on county election or federal elections is kind of disheartening because someone in my position can really have very little effect at the federal level. So that's why I joined the Republican Liberty Caucus at the state level, so I could help state level candidates get elected. And then when I saw there was an opening for the city council, I wanted to do what I can at my level to affect change. And to do that, I've come to the conclusion that the means to the end is economic development. Economic development is the key to everything that we want to do at a municipal level, which means to bolster our police and fire, to do street repairs, floodwater maintenance, everything. The linchpin is economic development. So I want to partner with people like Building Community Bridges that wants to do a business incubator. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry. Alicia, as you know, is running for the 5th Ward Council. I think she's got a great organization. I think we can host job fairs, partner with schools to produce qualified applicants for in-desire jobs. By doing so, we will create a more robust tax base, which allows us to provide the services that we want to provide for our community.
Same question, Derrick.
Okay. Yes, I wanted to run for city council because I've always been a community guy. I want to help the people in our ward, Ward 4, with stormwater, sidewalks, street lights. I'm real passionate in public safety, fire. I'm also endorsed by FOP and Fire 671, and just passionate about trying to help people in our community of Ward 4.
Okay.
Also, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
you're good. I'm sorry.
You still have time?
I just want to get out and help one another. If you see my card and my platform and what I stand for, I've always been a community guy. I've always given more than I've ever received, and I think I can make a difference in the council. That's it.
All right. Okay. So let's go to our next question. Derrick, what's going to be the biggest challenge you expect to face as a council member?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is going to be funding. I think funding is a big issue in this town. I think money needs to be spent in different places instead of where it's at. We have to find out where the funding's coming from, putting it in the right places. And I also think that, I just think that we can do more in this city with the streets and different things. And we gotta stay on top of things. And I just, at this point, listening to the voters and being out in the public is things, there's things that aren't getting done that I think, with codes and, zoning and different things that we could all work on together, because really we're a team. So it's kind of where I'm at with that.
Okay. Ryan, same question.
I would say the biggest challenge will probably be prioritizing need. I think everyone has a different idea of, well, to an extent anyway, of what is the biggest area of need or important areas of need in our community. And I think it's important that we approach it dispassionately and we prioritize the biggest needs for the most people and giving special notice to those that are already disadvantaged. Like Mr. Spicer said, I think we have money that we have that we can use to make the community better. But I think it's important that we focus on areas of need and not get tied down with various boondoggles. Like the bridge out to the park, I think that was largely funded by donors, but down the road, that's going to create maintenance costs for the city, which, to my knowledge, there hasn't been any kind of fund set up to fund that in perpetuity. So I think it's also important to be mindful of not just upfront, but also ancillary and future costs.
Okay. I will add there is a fund, Parks Fund, that was set up as far as maintenance of the park, just to clarify. But your point has been raised before about other maintenance issues. So you bring up a great point. So Ryan, this next question starts with you. As a council member, what do you believe the biggest need is in your ward and then across the city? Obviously, you represent the ward first, but you also are a part of the city. So identify what they may be the same thing, they may be different things.
I think they're very closely related. I think the biggest issue for Ward 4 is largely the stormwater maintenance. I think when the land was developed, there was not a whole lot taken into consideration as far as mitigation. And I think that the city is now playing catch up. I know that they've made a substantial investment in that in the past, but that the problems still persist. So more needs to be done. As far as the city as a whole, I think it really comes down to maintenance. I think there are a lot of areas in our community, though not so much Ward 4, that have lots of deferred maintenance. And as I said in a previous forum, I think we need to prioritize that based on need, based on traffic volume, and then again, giving special priority to those that are in already disadvantaged neighborhoods.
Okay. Derrick, same question.
I think, like Mr. Estes said, in the stormwater is big in our ward. You know, stormwater, streets, street lights, you know, codes. I think code enforcement, that is, I mean, that's huge in our ward. And I think there's other places across the city that's going through the same stuff as with stormwater. And I mean, I have a guy that works for me, Ernest Smith, and he lost everything he had because of stormwater. And I just think the upkeep needs to be more looked at, and I think we can prevent things if we take charge and work on it together. I think if you let it go, then we have a bigger issue down the road than what we have today.
Okay. All right. Next question comes from a reader, Derrick. It'll start with you. There are many often conflicting opinions on city government priorities. If elected, what specific steps will you take to unite the community and the council around measures that work for everyone?
Keep switching. I'm sorry. Is this me or Ryan?
Yep, that's you.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's
yeah,
okay.
If you don't mind. I'm sorry. It keeps turning here, so.
It's all good. So,
my fault.
The wonders of a virtual format here. So we're
there
fine.
You go.
All right. So
yeah.
The reader's question was, there are many often conflicting opinions on city government priorities. If elected, what specific steps will you take to unite the community and the council around measures that work for everyone?
I think it's big that you work with the ward and see what their issues are and try to address them on that point. And then, you know, as long as your ward is taken care of, then you can worry about other issues. But I think as a councilman, our goal is to take care of our ward, take care of our people. Sorry. You know, I think taking care of our people in the ward, because, you know, we're not the mayor. You know, we're in a situation where, you know, we have a ward to take care of. And I think it's getting out, talking to people. What's your concerns? How can we fix it? And how can we move forward?
Okay. Ryan, same question.
So I think for Ward 4, I think we both, you know, cover the ground that stormwater is a prevailing issue, and I think most of the ward would agree. As far as prioritizing, I think the most important thing is to give people a chance to be heard, because lots of times people, at a minimum, they want validation to know the concerns are heard, understood, appreciated, and addressed, not necessarily in that order. I'll do everything I can to work for the ward and to provide for important services, but I think it's also important to realize that the amount of money that the city has is finite. And if there are prevailing issues in other wards, I will support those, because a rising tide raises all ships. So if we improve the city, we improve the ward by turn. That will create, by making improvements in the city, will foster economic development, which will create more money down the road, which we can then use to do other issues like more stormwater maintenance.
Okay. Next question, we'll start with Ryan. Comes from a reader who says, in 2013, Rand McNally judged Jefferson City to be a most beautiful small town in America. But today, many of our buildings are in very dilapidated states, boarded up with porches crumbling, roofs tattered, broken brick walls. How should the city address these problems?
That is an interesting question. I think the city can provide incentives to people to provide proper maintenance. I know there has been some talk about the use of eminent domain. In fact, I think I saw an article recently about it. I'm generally against that because I don't like government taking property from citizens. That said, I think if there are people that are unwilling to or unable to provide that maintenance, and the city has exhausted every avenue prior to that point, then it's a topic of discussion much further down the road. I think the city has done a generally good job in investing in beautification. I know I sort of lampooned the park earlier, but I also think that we generally have a really good park system. So I think we're doing a good job. I think the tornado really set us back, although I know the city has made several moves to address the damage caused from that. But I think there's still plenty of work to be done, and I think that is definitely something that the city should prioritize moving forward.
Okay.
Also, I think, sir.
No, Derrick, next, same question.
Is Derrick looking choppy to you too? I just want to make sure he's getting a fair shake here.
I think so.
What's that?
Okay.
Derrick, were you able to answer the question?
Yeah. So, the biggest thing is, like what Mr. Estes said too, is this city, you got some of the residents that live downtown that, is really big in taking care of your property. And if you do not have the money or you don't have the funding, because the city, there has to be some kind of grants or something you can help out with some of the costs downtown. There are houses, boarded up and different things, but we have to be willing to all work together to make this town the most beautiful place in the world. But it's not one thing that one person's going to do. It's going to take everybody to come together, and it's not something we're going to fix overnight, because nothing's cheap out there, as you know. But if we can figure it out, put all our heads together, then we can work together and fix the problem.
Okay. All right. So before we go to our next question, take a little sidestep here for a second and just mention each of us, I think, have a little bit of issue with our internet connection, perhaps. So if you don't hear the question clearly, we can back up and can answer the question. So we want to give a fair shake to both of you. So
it's fine. It spins, and I'm like, I don't know if you're talking or if you're not talking or whatever. So
I haven't had any issues hearing the questions, but I have heard issues hearing Derrick's responses sometimes. I just want to make sure that's just something that I'm experiencing, not something that everyone will.
Yeah, I think we're hearing the responses okay. So,
okay.
But all right, so let's go to our next question. We'll start with Derrick. How can the city help address the issue of affordable housing, especially affordable rental housing?
Well, I think that starts with the upkeep of rental property and the upkeep of housing. I think that goes for the renter and the landlord. I think if they don't keep it, up to par, it's hard to be able to help people with housing and different things. I mean, I also think that you get into a situation where, people they want the reward, but they don't want to do what it has to, what it takes to, to with the upkeep and with the, being able to, be up to code or be up to whatever, the standards are for the city. And that's another thing with, hey, with the city, we need to work together with landlords and, residents and stuff. Hey, they need to follow the rules too of the city too. So, that you're able to help everyone.
Okay. Ryan, same question.
Great. I think there are a lot of market inefficiencies that are inherent to lower cost housing, especially rental housing. I think there are probably grants or programs that the city could apply for, and if not, the city could bridge the gap themselves, both to incentivize construction of housing for lower income families, to supplement the cost of rental to lower income families, because generally speaking, renters are going to want to make more money, so it's less in their best interest to offer low cost housing. So we have to do something to bridge that gap. I think we could also offer incentives to catch up on some deferred maintenance on some of the lower income houses that we have available now. But really, the problem is just market inefficiencies, and all else equal, the people who are building the housing are going to go for the greater income possibilities. So we have to pursue ways via grants or funding or incentives to level the playing field, so to speak.
Okay. Next question comes from a reader. Ryan, we'll go with you first. At least twice, the city has spent 6 figures to commission studies of public transportation. Each time, the need for more days and hours of operation has been stressed, yet has never been instituted. What improvements would you work toward for JeffTran?
Well, first of all, I would stop commissioning studies and not taking actions on them. I'm sure that the motivations behind it weren't just like the city didn't say we're going to do these studies and not do anything with it. But the fact of the matter is that's what happened. I think possibly the city wasn't prepared for the recommendations of the studies. So I think we saw the issue and realized that's going to take a substantial investment, and we just don't have it right now, or we haven't made it a priority. So, and like I said earlier, I think that the biggest issue is going to be prioritizing. I think public transit is something that we need to bump up the list, because it's something that absolutely serves a large part of the community, and in particular those that are already, disadvantaged or lower income. So I think we can fund public transit. I think there's probably programs out there which the city could apply for, and if not, we can shift money from something else, because that's something that we absolutely need to put more money into. Find a way.
Okay. Derrick, same question.
I agree with you on that, Mr. Estes. There are ways. There's got to be funding out there. I mean, because at this point it is transportation for a lot of different people in the community. Lower income, they don't have rides or whatever. And I think if we put more money in, or try to put more money into something like that, I think we would be able to offer more hours of availability for people to ride, or they have to get to work, or they have to get to the store, or to the doctor, or because if you look at it now, it's losing money. I mean, so we have to figure out if we could get some funding or something different, or put some money that you're putting somewhere else to the transportation, because it's
I think we lost your last sentence there. Can you repeat that?
Oh, I think it's very important for our community.
Okay. So as a follow-up question to both of you, so where would we find that money? You both kind of alluded to the fact that maybe there's areas of the budget where we should be, if we're going to raise it in the priority, it's going to necessitate the funds. So where would we find that money? Where are some areas where you think, maybe we should spend less in this area so that we can fund transit a bit better?
I mean, I think that you could, I think it's $1 to ride the bus. I mean, I know that the city tried to bump that up to $1.50, I think it was, and they got a lot of pushback from the residents. And, without really being in the middle of it and seeing where all the money is spent, whatever, it would be a real difficult question to answer, because me and Mr. Estes, we're on the outside right now. So internally, we're not in every city council meeting to see if, hey, there's money over here that we could put towards that, or vice versa.
Right. Brian?
So I think with public transit, it's been established for a long time that it's not really susceptible to the normal market influences, in that the private sector can't really do public transit because it's not profitable. So I think, without having done research, which I intend to, if I take office, I'm confident that there are grants available to help fund public transit. But if not, I still think there are ways that we could shift money around. For instance, you mentioned beautification of the city, and while I think having a beautiful city is always a bonus, if push comes to shove and I'm asked to choose between providing transportation for, disadvantaged community members or making the city more beautiful, I'm going to pick the disadvantaged community members 10 times out of 10.
Okay. All right. So let's go to our next question. Derrick, we'll start with you on this one.
Okay.
It comes from a reader. In perception and in practice, Lincoln University and Jefferson City's relationship is too often focused on division or disconnection. How can the council foster a better connection between the city and LU?
Well, I think actually talking to Carlos a little bit about it, I think that they're getting more involved with Lincoln University and different things the council is now. And, like I told you before, it's something that doesn't happen overnight. We have to be able to work together, and concerns of, when you got Lincoln University, right here in our hometown, it means a lot. And we have to support them just as much as they support us.
Okay. Ryan, same question.
I have to be honest, I'm not sure why we don't have a good relationship with Lincoln University, because it seems like it would behoove both organizations to get along. There's so much that we could achieve that would be mutually beneficial. I mean, Lincoln University is an historic campus. I think Jefferson City should be proud of that, and we should absolutely, advertise that. I think the city could also gain by partnering with the university to promote job training and job programs for in-demand positions, because I think a lot of the economy is transitioning to a service industry, and those jobs require specific qualifications. And I think if we partnered with the school to offer those programs, we could bring those jobs to Jefferson City. So that would bring students to the school, bring jobs to the community, bring increased tax funds to provide services. I mean, there's no good reason not to foster a better relationship with the college. So I think it's just a matter of us coming to the table and being willing to listen to one another, not just hear, but actually listen and, build bridges, make connections, work together. There's so much benefit to be achieved. It's absurd that we haven't already.
Yeah. Okay. Next question, we'll start with Brian. How would you rate the city's response to the pandemic? What did we do well? What could we have done better?
I think the city has altogether done a pretty good job about the pandemic. I think I support taking measures like wearing masks and social distancing and washing your hands and all that. I think putting out those recommendations is great, and it very possibly saved lives. I also agree that we didn't have any mandates, because I think that should be a personal choice and not something that should come down from some sort of draconian government agency. I think we have qualified people that are working in our public health offices, so I think that's great. My only qualm, and you could probably say this about any municipality, is that I feel like we were unprepared for the pandemic, and I know we got funds from the federal government, and I think I don't know what the city got, but I know the county sent out masks and hand sanitizer like a year after the pandemic started. So I think we just got into it and didn't really know how to get out of it. So I think investing more in planning, either financially or through personnel or a time investment, I think that would be appropriate, so that if this, God forbid, happens again, that we're just better prepared on how to handle it.
Okay.
That even though we did a pretty good job already, there's always room for improvement.
All right. Derrick, same question.
Yeah, I think the health department did a great job actually with the pandemic. I think working in a local business here in Jefferson City, for a Marriott hotel, we had a mask mandate. Everywhere you went had a mask mandate. Washing your hands, just like Ryan said. I think the biggest thing that I think that they did is they took charge of it when it came. Yeah, we were probably a little behind the gun, but if you look at Jefferson City and you look at the rest of the country, how long did it take to get here? I mean, we had less cases than a lot of different places across the country. I got friends all over the country, and I'm like, hey, it's here, but there's not very much of it, but people are doing what they're supposed to do. And I think moving forward, they're still doing what they're supposed to, and hopefully eventually we can continue to move forward. People just, at the end of the day, we need to help one another, and we need to keep our family safe and what we're doing. And it sucks, to be honest with you. And like I said, I think the city of Jefferson did a great job. So,
okay. Next question. We'll start with Derrick on this one. It comes from a reader. The Parks Commission has approved the transfer of land that makes up East Miller Park to the Veterans Administration for the possible expansion of the National Veterans Cemetery. While Parks has identified other land for a new park in the area, the expansion plan has met some resistance in the neighborhood. What are your feelings on the National Cemetery expansion plan?
My feelings on it is I'm all for it, because I grew up in a veteran family. My dad was a veteran. My father-in-law was a veteran. And anytime that you could give them recognition for, what they done, I mean, for the little bit that it would take would be well worth it. So I'm all for the expansion. So.
Okay. Ryan, same question.
I think it's worth looking into, but I certainly have reservations, especially with the community and the fact that we'll be taking the parkland away from from a lower income neighborhood. I know that alternatives have been offered, but I'm not sure exactly where those are. So if I were to approve something like that, it would have to be with reasonable concessions to the members of the community, so they don't lose out on resources. Because I think having park spaces for the entire community is crucial, especially for the lower income neighborhoods like the one we're discussing.
Okay. Next question, we'll start with Ryan. The city is finalizing a development agreement with a St. Louis-based group to redevelop the approximately 30-acre Missouri State Penitentiary property into a multi-use space centered around a hotel and conference center. As a potential council member, what concerns do you have as the city negotiates this development contract?
Many. My first would probably be that we're partnering with a group that isn't centered in Jefferson City. So a lot of that money that virtually all of it we're going to be spending is going to be going outside of our tax base. So it's not going to be going back to our stores, to our citizens. I think the city has had it in their crosshairs for a long time to have a community center, and I think that will be a benefit to the city. And I know that incorporating that with the Missouri State Penitentiary revitalization will be a good move. So I think at the end of the day, this will be a good move, but I still have reservations about the money being spent to make sure it's being spent in the best way possible for the most good for the most people, and that as much of it as we can, we keep locally.
Okay. Derrick, same question.
Well, I think that the money that they're wanting to spend with the St. Charles group is too much money. I think that, the farmers, which they're local here in Jefferson City, had also had a proposal on the table that was a lot less money. And they ended up going with the Chesterfield group, which we don't have any money now, they say, but we have enough to do a $55 million project, which I'm with Ryan on this one too, is, it's too much money. I mean, where is it, that money we could have kept here with the farmers that wanted to build it. They've done so much for our community. I mean, we have to be in a situation where we can help one another. That's what I was saying before, is I just think it's too much money for our city that, at the end of the day, the farmers deal, it could have already been probably almost up already. How long are we going to be talking about this Chesterfield group doing the project? But, we also have to look, it would be great for Jeff City. Trust me. I mean, anything you could do improvement to grow the city of Jefferson is a great deal, but we have to take care of our old people too. Take care of the ones that are loyal to us every day also. So, like I said, we're not on the council, so we didn't vote for it. We didn't vote, we didn't have the right to vote for it, is what I'm trying to say. So, it really doesn't have anything to do with me or Ryan, because it's kind of already been set in stone. So,
okay. So let's circle back on this question for both of you. So you're right. Neither of you were on the council when the decision was made for the development contract. So a contract has not been set yet with further development. What will be your approach as a council member going forward as far as either advancing this agreement or opposing this agreement?
Does that make sense, since it was my question? Or
Ryan, we'll start with you.
Okay. So as to that, if no contract is signed when I come into office, I would like to review other possibilities, because all else equal, if it's a comparable contract locally, I would much rather keep those funds locally. But at some point, it becomes a cost savings if a group that's not local offers a significantly better contract. So I won't say yes I will or no I won't, but I think it's just going to come down to the brass tacks. If someone out there has a better offer, I'll advocate for it, but I also won't stand in the way of progress for the city if it's truly beneficial for the people.
Okay. Derrick, same question.
Yeah, the same. I mean, like I said, if it helps our city and they haven't signed it or whatever they're doing, that would be great discussion to hear everything about it and what it is for our city. But I've always been a city guy and a loyal guy, to the people, here, city of Jefferson. And, if you could get, pretty well the, same stuff for, less money, I'm in the hotel business. So, it's a 5% tax that, it's the lodging tax that they charge us all the time. It's already been approved for a convention center. There's money out there for that. So, I guess just listening to all of it, trying to find out where we're at with it, then it'd be a lot easier to make a decision. But not having everything in front of you or knowing everything about it, be better to see it in person.
Okay. All right. So let's go to our next question. Derrick, this will start with you.
Yes, sir.
The council is exploring 2 sales tax proposals for the August ballot. One would be an extension of the city's capital sales tax, and the other is a public safety school sales tax. Would you support either of these taxes? Why or why not?
I would support you. Can you read? It kind of cut out a little bit on me here. So can you redo that for me? I'm sorry.
No, that's all good. The council is exploring 2 sales tax proposals for August, the August ballot. One would extend the city's capital sales tax. The other is a public safety sales tax. Would you support either of these taxes? Why or why not?
I would support both of them, actually. I would support the public safety tax for, more equipment for our officers, more for salaries and different things. I mean, it's we're in a situation where the public safety tax is, we would be able to, to buy equipment, body cams, more equipment for, economic growth. We want to grow, but we can't grow without more officers, and we can't grow without better paying jobs for these guys, even with the firefighters. I mean, we have to make sure that these guys are fully equipped with everything they need to do their job, because body cams not only protect you, it protects them. And I just think that, with them taxes, it's to make our city better. It's not, and yes, I would support both of them.
Okay. Ryan, same question.
I would say I wouldn't support them. And not because I don't think the funds are important. It's because I think taxation stifles economic growth, and I think that there are better ways to get funds for law enforcement and for capital improvements other than through a tax system. I think we can spend our money more efficiently. And just to be clear, I think funding for municipal service workers is paramount, and I think equipment, especially body cams, is hugely important. I don't think we have a problem in our community with police, but I think body cams would get us ahead of any potential problems. It will ensure accountability both by the officer and by the citizen. And I think it does. It sort of levels the playing field with the whole power paradigm between citizens and police, which is, it'll always be there, but it'll give assurances. So, if God forbid we ever have some incident that garners national attention, we can say, no, our officer did exactly what he was or she was supposed to do, and here's the footage that proves it. So I think that's something we need to invest in, but I don't support a tax to get there.
So as a follow-up question, you suggest there are other avenues for funding to support these 2 areas. What would they be?
I mean, I mentioned before that we can cut from beautification to fund municipal service worker or to fund other issues, but municipal service workers in particular. I also think by cutting taxes, we will actually, if there's a lower sales tax, people will have more incentive to spend money, which will So they'll buy more things, which will garner more tax income. I'm not saying it's going to be a one-for-one trade-off, but I don't think we're going to have a substantial loss based on that.
Okay. All right. Ryan, next question, we're going to go with you. Comes from a reader. Do you think the city and the county should work together on issues or projects? How would you achieve the partnership that has existed? And can you name a project that you think worked well and one that maybe the city came up on the short end?
It cut out for a second in the middle of the question. Can you just repeat the question, please?
Sure. Do you think the city and county should work together on issues or projects? How would you achieve that partnership? How do you think that's worked in the past? Maybe name a project that worked well, one in which maybe the city came up short.
Sorry. I think there's no reason not to partner between the city and the county, as long as we can, come together. I mean, there's so much overlap between city and county. There are services that are required for both. So, no one wants to reinvent the wheel. So I think if the city and the county can partner to provide essential services for both parts, as long as they can come down to, equitable agreements for both the city and the county, then there's no reason not to. I believe the ambulances a while back was an example of this, where the city and the county. The particulars fail me, but I feel like the ambulances were a good example of that, how they work together.
Okay. Derrick, same question.
I think the city and county should work together. I think we, because the county bellies up to the city, and at the end of the day, these tax dollars that the county's paying, tax dollars that the city's paying, I think we should have it all. We should be able to we should be willing to help one another, because it's making our community better, whether it's a city or county. Now, on a project, I'm gonna be honest with you, I really don't know one that I think that I had a call here a while back about the roundabout up on Eastland. It never happened, I don't guess. It's where the city purchased the church or the house, and I don't think the county was on board with that. I know the city had already, but I guess they're going to sell it. Am I correct on that, or?
I think there was some dissension in the council as to whether or not it was actually needed.
Needed, okay. But all in all, I think that we have to be able to work with the county, because I don't think you need any enemies. I think if it makes sense, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's go to our closing statements. You each will have 2 minutes to kind of wrap up your thoughts. So we'll start with Derrick.
Well, first of all, I want to thank this News Tribune so much for taking their time to give us an opportunity to speak. I decided that I was going to run in January, so this wasn't something that I woke up one day and decided I was going to do. I live in Jeff City. I work in Jeff City. I'm actually, I would love to have your vote April 6th, because if anybody knows me, I'm a hard worker. And I always had the theory is if I can't get it done, it can't be done. So would love to have your vote April 6th, and really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ryan?
I'd also like to start off by thanking the News Tribune for hosting this forum, and I'd also like to thank all the people viewing it, because I think that an informed electorate is a lifeblood of our government. So I think people that take the time to learn the issues and learn the candidates are what really make things work around here. I want to serve. That's really all I want to do. I think I am the best person for that, but I also think that other people have good ideas. So I'm not, some screaming dictator saying that I'm the best, vote for me, and no one else will do a good job, because I think that we're surrounded by people that want to do good in our community. I think, giving them the opportunity to do that is huge. I have an extensive volunteer experience. I volunteered for Central Missouri Foster Care and Adoption Agency, the Humane Society, the Red Cross, Habitat for Humanity. I think volunteerism is probably the most important thing that the average person can contribute to their community. So any way that I can promote that or foster that or partner with that, I think will pay dividends in multiple areas. I think the key would be that, and focusing on economic growth so we can provide the services that our community needs, tools for law enforcement, pay for municipal service workers, beautification, parks, maintenance, floodwater mitigation. There's lots that can be done, and economic growth is the linchpin for all of that. So if there's the things to remember about my campaign is economic growth, community service, and fostering and services for at-risk youth. That's huge for me. That's why I'm a foster parent. Thanks again. I really appreciate the opportunity. Vote's April 6th. Everybody get out and vote for the candidate you like.
All right. So I want to thank you both for appearing in today's forum. Now through April 6th, we'll be accepting questions for these candidates or any contested candidates on the Jefferson City ballots. So those questions can be emailed to vote@newstribune.com. In the ensuing 3 weeks, we'll be publishing answers to those questions, as well as stories on all the contested races on the Jefferson City ballot. Our coverage will culminate with the Reader's Guide then on Sunday, April 4th. So again, I want to thank the candidates, thank those who are viewing this, and apologize for any technical issues that may have occurred, but I appreciate your pushing through them. Our goal through these forums, stories, and question and answer columns is to help you, the voter, make an informed decision on April 6th. We encourage you, the voter, to take advantage of those resources, share them with your friends and family, and then get out and vote. Thank you.